Welcome to Talent Instinct, an electrifying space where we dive into how construction business owners revamp their hunt for top-tier talent by instinctivizing their efforts. It's time to spice up relying on systems and processes and discover prime insights on how to smartly apply their most important aspect, their instinct, as well as intellect, to pinpoint individuals who don't just fit in, but flourish. Let's face it, making the right hire for your business has never been more paramount. The stakes of the wrong hire can disrupt performance, profit, culture, and succession planning. Talent Instinct isn't about playing it safe. It's about conquering with calculated instinct. So, another episode of Talent Instinct. Here we are. I want to talk today about the attitude that has always surrounded construction. It's always, I think, surrounded every industry. I remember when I started out in real estate many moons ago when I was in my 20s, and I think it was just a general consensus with every job that it was, your supervisor or manager, could say anything to you. You did your apprenticeship. You were supposed to, or you are supposed to suck it up and just be told what to do. Now, there's always been good people that are good managers and, speak to people, but there are some people that are still out there that are thinking that, people have too many feelings. Don't get me wrong, for the love of God, I have had some people and I totally understand. I don't understand why, for example, if they're on site and you're a form worker, you know what it's like. I've had people on scaffolding sites that they're being yelled at, but not spoken to wrong. They're being yelled at because, the supervisor's telling them what to do. Now, and then, in form work, it was the same thing. And, we all know that there's a lot more swearing and a lot more language in the construction industry. That's just how we are. That's how it rolls. Where do we draw the line of it being abusive behavior and someone turning around and saying, okay, this is not right? And I really feel that we are having a lot of change with the generation coming through. Everybody around the world, I'm seeing lots of articles about it in every country, that there is a massive struggle between, say, someone my age in their 40s, for example, or even older generations being able to relate or communicate in a way that is correct to the next generation coming through. And without getting too political or into too much kind of different views and things like that, the world is completely different. Even if we look at technology, I've spoken to a lot of people about the difference in technology, but not even just a difference in technology, on how we are actually processing things. Like, the amount of information that we are actually taking in every minute of every day is astronomical compared to what we've ever done before. I mean, we had computers when I was growing up, but obviously nothing like we do today. And even, with my daughter, she was basically born with a computer, has always had a phone, all of those things. So definitely a different world. They don't really use the phone to call anymore. It's all messaging. And one of the things, though, is that there's obviously been some big movements in the world about equality, and I think that some of it is fantastic. I think some of it's great. Some of it needed to happen. I think that some of the way that we conducted ourselves and thought that managing people was okay, and I don't think it was. I think there needed to be some sort of change. I think that to some part the pendulum needs to come somewhere in the middle. I think that we have gone too far one way, but I think that there are some people that are still not evolving and still not moving through to understand that you do need to adapt and change to the people that you're communicating to provide an environment that the next generation is coming through, and adapt to that. You don't have to like it. Like, that's not what it's about. You don't have to like it, but you have to understand that if you want your business to grow, if you want to adapt to the new way of the world, then you need to adapt to their communication style and find a happy place. We're not talking let's be besties and hang out. You're still their boss, their manager, and they still need to show you respect. I think that there's been a massive change in the way we look at that as well. I definitely feel that there is not the same sort of respect given to people that run a business. And I think, and I'm really hoping that that changes, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. I know that my struggles of, or how hard that I've worked to get where I am today. It's been a journey, a long, long journey, a long, long journey of having, bad managers, of being treated like crap at times, of being bullied, which I never should have been. And that is the part that I do have some sort of feeling towards and go, well, that was never right to begin with. We should have been able to stand up for ourselves and say something, but it was always the way that, you suck it up and you just carry on. That is what it is. You don't have a choice. And me personally, I don't believe in that. I want my staff to come and talk to me about what their issues are, and I'll be able to read through it, whether it's something that honestly shouldn't be happening and people going too far. I heard of a supervisor getting in front of someone's face the other day and, being really aggressive. That is way too far and unacceptable on any level. I don't care what year, what month, if the sun's shining, that is not how you should treat people. Should people understand, the job that they're walking into and the difference between someone abusing you and trying to get the job done, and then that's part of just what's happening because you're on site and everyone's moving very quickly. Again, they're two totally different circumstances, and people need to know what's right and what's not. I did just see a post on LinkedIn that really sort of got to me a bit, and I don't know the exact circumstances of it, but it was basically a form of a SWIMS form to fill in for someone's like emotional state and them being able to fill in. But what someone had sort of said on it is basically saying, if you need a tissue for your issue, if they were pulling the piss out of it. And I still think that there needs to be some sort of like sensitivity or some rational sort of like, again, is this person, being over precious or, over emotional about it? Or are you not behaving properly? Like, are you changing, again, to adapt? A big thing that I talk to about business owners and to people is, and again, going back to the original statement, is the way to communicate with different people in different levels. I make sure that when I'm talking to people, I ask them if they're understanding what I'm saying, make sure I get a yes. I'm asking them questions and making them give me an actual answer. So they're not just sitting there going, yeah, 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 and they're not engaged. They're not actually listening. This is a massive thing, for us in our industry, especially when it comes to, safety as well, and making sure that they're actually listening to what's going on with the safety meetings and things. But communication is key. And not everybody understands the same, listens the same. So it's you need to find a different way to, communicate or make sure that you're getting the best out of someone. That's your job as a manager or as a business owner and things like that, because you are only as good as your team. So if you are getting someone with a good attitude and, good work ethic and things like that, and, or you're going through stuff, you really need to look at what's going on and why people are not happy. Um, there's some things that you're never going to change, and people are always going to move if it's like a lot more money or a different role or things like that. But people stay because they get really comfortable and they love the culture and they love what they do. And that's how you're going to build the best team. That's why I always ask, companies what makes them different to everyone else. How do they work? I've got a client that does like a 4-day week, and they do, their 10-hour days and whatever. So anyone that's looking for that work-life balance, that job's for them. They're going to love it. You've got to find out what makes people tick, communicate that. And again, I think that we need to have a happy medium and a great understanding of our supervisors and how we talk to people, and making sure that our communication is done right. It's actually not that hard, but it is a very good skill to have, and there's not a lot of people that take that much interest in it, unfortunately, and put it as a priority to make sure that they're a good leader and a good manager. I again think that, if you were going to talk to different age groups, I would change the way that I communicate to suit that certain age group, and, find a way to make it work. I would highly suggest that you do a bit of research and make sure that you talk to the next generation in a different way, because whether we like it or not, we have to invest our time and our effort into the generation and work with it. Some of the preferences that they have is more work-life balance. And again, like, that's not the worst thing in the world. There's, we don't want people to just be taking days off left, right, and center. Again, happy medium. Everything I say is like, you've got to, there's a happy medium that you've got to find. And there's always going to be different degrees. But a lot of it is that, some of us just used to work, till we bled. That was it. Till we're exhausted, and, not everyone's built like that, and that's okay too. You just need to find out what people are capable of and how they do work, and, what is important to them to manage it. Definitely one of the things, as I just said, is that the next generation seem to want to have more of a work-life balance. We have different things now where the men get paternity leave or maternity leave instead as well. And, we need to just find ways to be able to adapt and accommodate to the new world that we live in, whatever that looks like for a business. There's always options. Sometimes you've got to think outside the box and adapt. Biggest thing is adapt and move on to the current market, and again, trying to get the best staff. And the best way to be able to do that is to find out what people are looking for, what drives them. Is it money? Is it culture? Is it work-life balance? Is it career progression? And that will always show you what makes that person tick. I think it's so important. It's definitely one of the things that I do. It's one of the big things that I talk through with the job. There are people still out there that love working Saturdays because that's where the money's at for a lot of people. And so I try and make sure that they understand what the job is, and make sure that when I'm talking to people, I don't just expect that it's just going to be a given. If they start the job, they're just going to do whatever is expected, because it's just not reality, and it's not the world we live in anymore. People very much just don't care. It's been a bit of a thing. Obviously, we had the great resignation, which we all had to deal with, and we've all, again, had to adjust accordingly to make sure that we are getting stuff and we're having the retention, and retention's everything. And one of the big things is, communication, getting people invested in the job, getting people invested in what they're doing, letting them know whether they've got a future with the company or not. For me, I let them know that could be a full-time position available, so they're already walking in, invested in the position and are going to put their best foot forward. Those sorts of things make a difference. Let them know where the company is heading. Let them know that, they are a good worker. They don't need a pat on the back every day. That's a bit much. But every now and again, it's great to make sure that they do understand that they are appreciated, or, go back to the old school way of, if they get a job done by a certain time, there'll be a barbecue on, or, beers or whatever it is, to make sure that they are still feeling appreciated, and they, do get a reward, let's say, at the end. It doesn't cost you much. I still do site visits and see my workers at Smoko, and I normally take them, some sort of lunch or something, just to show the appreciation and make sure that they're doing okay, and check in with them. And they absolutely love it. I can't tell you how many times other workers from other companies have come up to me and gone, why don't I get anything like that? Why don't we get anything like that? It's not hard. It doesn't cost you much, and it'll make people feel appreciated. I think it's a great thing to do, and, it might even push them harder, and, you get more out of them because they do feel appreciated. Human nature, always the way. All right. Thanks for listening to Talent Instinct. I'm Chantal Penny, and if you want more razor sharp insider info on instinctivizing your hiring game, then hit the subscribe button. Oh, and remember to drop a killer rating and review. Please don't hold back. Spread the news to fellow construction business owners too. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and soak up all of my content, please do so by stalking us on Talent Instinct and my brainchild Siteforce Recruitment on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.